Hello, all. Welcome to another episode of Legacy Leaders. Today, Scott McMeans, yours truly, is joined by Luke Frey. He is the CEO and founder of Bella Vista Executive Advisors. He is all things franchising. Whether you want to be a franchise, he'll help you franchise your business. You want to buy a franchise, help you get the best one. And if you currently are a franchise, you need some help, he's the guy that can help you figure it out. Without further ado, I want to turn the microphone and camera over to Luke so he can tell us his story. So, Luke, it's all yours. Tell us your story and how you got here.
Scott, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And like a lot of folks, I started in the corporate world. I have an engineering degree in mechanical engineering and was an industrial engineer for 6 years. Helped a Fortune 200 company start their first manufacturing offshore plant in Honduras, and loved every second of that for 3 years. We could talk for hours and hours about those
I know we
stories.
can. I know we can.
Yeah, some good, that was the good, the bad, and the ugly living
Yeah.
down there, but I enjoyed it.
Different.
Um,
It's a different world,
yeah,
right? I mean,
different world.
but here's the thing. It's a corporate environment in a different world than the United States. So the rules of corporation still exist, but the local rules have to have a little bit of precedent. So the relationships that you had different than what you have here. So I don't want to get down too much of that rabbit hole, but I want you to explain to people your experiences a little bit so they understand why would you be the best person to talk to them about building their future via a franchise. It's not because you are just this unbelievably brilliant person, which you are, but it's because the experiences you've had in a variety of corporate world roles that give you this clarity and this expertise to step forward and say, yeah, I've been there, I've done that, I can help you. So let's. I don't want to go too far down the Honduras piece, but from memory, you were hand selected to go down there and help build this thing up, and nobody had ever done it before. Oh crap! All right, starting from scratch in a foreign country, let's build this, and you did. And after a while, they're like, "All right, great, come back and do something more." So, tell me a little bit about it, and then we'll move on to the expertise and the franchising piece.
Yeah, well, business is all about systems. That's what a
Hmm.
business is. It takes inputs from their customers and it does some whatever it is to it, to that input. And those are the systems within the business. Now, there are subsystems. For instance, when we were making work shirts, there were probably 47 different jobs. Um, the biggest, and we've had those systems with, the company was called RegCap. We had those systems for 100 years, 120 years, whatever they had been in business for. Um, and so the systems were already there. It was okay. Now, how do we adapt them and teach them to folks that have
Hmm.
absolutely zero experience in business? They've never worked in outside of their home a day in their life. The average age of our operator was 21, 22,
Ooh,
maybe. Yeah.
yeah.
So the average age of our supervisors, who again had no manufacturing experience, they were just a little bit older and a little bit wiser. The average age there was 25.
Hmm.
And teaching teaching the folks that our systems that we knew were proven, much like in franchising.
Hmm.
Franchising is a business model that's proven to be successful in other parts of the country. If you follow the systems, franchisees are extremely successful. If you try and do things on your own, now you got about a 20-80% chance of succeeding.
Yeah.
Um, and 20 being the positive side. So it was about how do we train these people up? So we had for lack of a better term, another system in place where supervisors from the United States on a rotating basis would come down for the first 2 years and train our supervisors in Honduras. Um, the folks from the States were typically from the South because garment manufacturing follows cheap labor.
Yeah.
And so, well, none of our supervisors spoke Spanish. So we had to set up a system for having an interpreter with them the whole time. Then the biggest pushback of us going offshore was, well, the quality is going to stink
Yeah.
because these people don't know what they're doing. They haven't done it. You know, some of the plants in Mississippi that I worked in had been there for 40 years. They don't know what they're doing, and the quality is going to be horrific. And if we wouldn't have changed things up a little bit, so instead of only having a final inspection, which is what we had here in the States, we had processes in place to do military audits all throughout the line. But that's a military audit is just doing a sample size
Hmm.
of a bundle of 100 pants that somebody was working on. But down there, we set up inspection areas in critical points along the line, to do 100% inspections, just like we did a final inspection. Yeah, it increased our work in process days, but and it increased our cost a little bit. But down there, when you're paying somebody $2 a day, and that was the average, you know, we could absorb that cost in order to make sure the quality is there. There's what's called the project management triangle, or iron triangle, and there's three sides to the triangle: resources, time, and quality. Pick two, and the third is determined.
There it is.
So we increase the time and we increase the resources, to be able to make quality garments. There was a manager, there was a product manager and engineer who decided that they weren't going to follow that so that they could meet their production quota and look good for the bosses. And six full size, I think they were 50 or 55-foot containers full of nothing but garments, made their way to the distribution center in Nashville, and they were promptly rejected because they had a 30% reject rate.
Oh, wow.
And the systems that we set up and came back in and made sure were followed, we created a reject rate of less than 8%, which was standard across our company for US and what we were doing.
What a
So
difference a proper system makes, right? That's what we're identifying here, right?
yeah,
And I love the opening line that you had, Luke, is, business is all about systems, and management is taking a proven system with competent people and making sure it works. That's really all project management is. And I know I'm breaking it down to simplest terms, but in essence, every process, every effort within your business is competent people performing within a proven system. If they go outside the system, it's okay to take a risk, and maybe we can prove a better way of doing it, and then we can improve our system. But if it doesn't improve, you got to go right back to the system, right? So it's interesting to see how this all plays out. Now let's get into the world of BV, right? Bella Vista, and how you work this mindset of systems and process management and all that, and into the world of franchising. So how are
mhm.
you so good at what you do is you take somebody who has a business and wants to franchise it and helps them walk that path. You have somebody that wants to buy a franchise and you can help them walk that path. And somebody who is currently running a franchise and having a little bit of trouble, all right, let's get them back on the right path, right? So walk me through that path that you like to take people on in any one of those three or all three, and just let people realize what's the value of working with Luke. Why is it so great to work with you?
Thank you for asking, Scott. And I'll start with, um, the lowest hanging fruit, and actually it's the biggest fruit, because the International Franchise Association statistics says less than 20%. So less than 20% of all businesses that try and franchise this year or every year will reach 50 units within 10 years. And
Mm.
typically the golden number, the target for a new franchise or emerging franchisor is 100 units. And that's when you start getting other investors interested in your business to either buy you out or to become part of a larger group like Belfour or Threshold or Neighborly. But that 100 unit mark is typically the average of what is successful. Now there are exceptions, like the franchise I was with. They didn't want 100 units. They just wanted to be in every major metropolitan area across the US, and they achieved that with 41 franchise units. They also had a couple of company owned units, but they achieved that with less than 100 units, and it was highly successful. But most brands want to hit that 100 unit mark, and they think that having a franchise disclosure document and having an operations manual qualifies them to be franchisors. And that's kind of backwards. The operations manual, absolutely. You have to have that. You have to have that as an independent business anyway, in order for the owner to be able to go on vacation for a week or two.
Exactly.
And not be constantly on the phone the whole time that they're gone, worrying about what's going on back at home base.
And if you think about it, Luke, what is an operations manual? It's a systems manual.
It's a systems manual. That's what it is.
Yep.
And we can go down a different path on that, because how it's delivered is completely changing with TikTok and with videos and with all that kind of stuff going on.
Technology always has a way of infiltrating how communication happens, but it doesn't change the fact that it needs to have a foundation. It needs to have something that when this happens, this is the desired outcome and the actions you need to take to get said desired outcome. That's process management. That's simply laying down on paper and ink or digitally how you want things to go when, as I like to refer to, when the fertilizer hits the ventilator, how do you handle it? Right?
Exactly. Well, and then that's where my fire training and being a fire chief came in, and has helped me to be able to create these
very detail oriented. Yeah.
Very detail oriented. Our ops manual was, it was that thick. And when you're on a fire ground, you can't remember everything that's in the ops manual, but you have to know what the overall objective is. You evaluate what's going on in front of you, and you make decisions based on that and create strategies in order for those processes to be successful and nobody gets hurt. So, but going back to the franchising, what I've focused on is creating an objective assessment to be able to qualify a business over 6 macro success categories. Number one is financial resources. Is this business coming into franchising with the resources required? Much like a new franchisee has to have a minimum net worth in order to qualify to partner with a franchise. There is no minimum net worth for independent business to get in. It's just, they think they have their financial disclosure document, they'll sell to a couple of friends, and now they've got cash. Well, it doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. So financial resources, leadership and organizational capacity. What's their mindset? What are they ready to do franchising wise versus what they were doing as an independent business? Is your core business viable to be a franchise? Meaning, does it have the systems in place? Number one. But number two is, with franchising and paying royalties, now your profit margin has to be quite a bit higher than a typical 10 to 12 to 15%, because you want this franchisee to be successful. If it's less than 10% net profit margin for even the best franchisees, well, they're just going to invest in a mutual fund instead of having to run a business. So that, and then is your business, is your new business, because franchising is completely separate from the core business. So is that infrastructure scalability set up with franchise developers? And emerging brands start with third party or fractional franchise developers, fractional marketers, fractional Um,
Yeah.
you know, all those things going on. But as you get bigger, once you hit around 50 units, you bring all those in house and now you can train that person. So infrastructure scalability. And then last, but certainly not least, is your marketing and legal readiness. So those six factors, uh, I've created an assessment to be able to objectively measure those, and I'm flipping that 20% success rate of 50 units in 10 years to 50 units in 5 years, and 80% of my clients will have 50 units in 5 years if they
Yeah.
follow my system.
Okay. Outstanding performance, right? I mean, better than the average bear, right? Um, so what do you do from a challenge perspective if somebody's not following your system? I mean, how do you correct them?
Well, it's their choice.
Hmm.
That's their choice, and there's nothing. It's like when you coach a business. I'm just coaching a business on how to be a franchisor. It's the
Yeah.
same thing as somebody. If somebody isn't coachable, there's nothing in the world I can say, show, or do for them to change their mind. And we're probably not a good fit long term. When
It's
when we start working with somebody, and I say we, I'm part of a group called Franchise Building Expert, that's owned by Don Shin, who was a action coach, the first
mm,
action coach master franchisee. I work with his group, and when we work with a group, it's not for 6 months and you're ready to go. Here you go. We've worked with franchises now. We're working with one. We're in our third year. We
wow.
started off we started off as their fractional franchise developers. Then as they grew and we helped them get from 20 units to 50, um, they brought in an in-house full-time franchise developer. We trained that person,
Mm,
and Don trained that person first of all. Now that they're at about 70 units, 75 units, I think, on year three, um, they've come to us and said, our normal distribution curve of franchisees is kind of wide, it's spread out. So we've got a group of folks that are doing extremely well. We have a middle group that's kind of widespread, that they could do so much better
right.
if we just helped them out a little bit. And then we've got a bottom third that, man, I really don't know if we're going to be able to help them much, but we're going to try. We're going to give them every effort in the world. So what we've done is created a basically just a business 101, where we meet
Yeah.
with new franchisees of this franchise system, for 6 sessions over 12 weeks. It's about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours each session. But we just teach them business basics because their passion is their franchise and what the franchise stands for and the deliverable of the franchise. But they came in with certain business skills, being in corporate or being a nurse or being whatever they were before they came into franchising, but they didn't have the full package of what it takes to be a business owner. Because
Yeah.
when you're in the corporate world, you have a safety net. You have
Always a
people
safety
around
net.
you.
Yeah.
You have a safety net. When you're a franchise owner and a small business owner, there is no safety net except for you, and they can bounce ideas off of you and you
Yeah.
can steer them down the right path. Well, that's what we're trying to do with this. It's called franchise foundations for success, and we're rolling that out to independent franchisees as well. um, but basically what we're trying to do is to narrow that normal distribution curve.
Yeah, I love the idea of narrowing the curve because one of the intentions that I have with this podcast and being educational in nature and bringing community leaders and business owners together in a space where we can talk about, learn about how to do things better is taking somebody's expectation of I'm going to be successful in what I was told would be 3 years. I want to narrow that down, or I want to bring it down to 12 months or less. Give them the opportunity to build a business with expertise and experience from others. Granted, we're stealing ideas from other people, and that's perfectly fine. To give people the understanding of All right, here's a system that has been proven to work. Why don't we just follow it for the next 9 to 12 months and we'll get you where you want to go? And I think people are starting to turn around to say, okay, I'd rather listen to 4 or 5 people that have been successful than listen to myself who hasn't done this before. I need to listen to other people. And when I find people like yourself, Luke, and others that have been on the podcast, it's almost like an awakening, and that's that I call it the um, light upon yonder window moment, right? Oh, it's that simple. I get it. I never thought of it that way before. And what I want people to realize is business is tough because you want to make it tough. If you strip out all the headache, you strip out all the stress and realize there are 3 things to focus on in the next 30 days, and then 3 more things to focus on in the next 30 days. Before you realize it, you've knocked out 6 things in 2 months and you're on your way to glory. But we find ourselves as business owners, especially young people or young business owners. And what I mean, not young by age, young in tenure as a business owner. We love to chase shining objects, right? Oh, there's a new idea, and there's a new idea. Instead of just the road to success is right here, and let's just be disciplined, and let's focus on what we know we need to do, and do it step by step. And that's why I think that the synergy between what we're talking about is so clear to me. But I want people in the audience to figure that out for themselves by listening to folks like you. So when you talk about the bigger challenges that you face, Luke, what is it that you would say, all right, this is a huge challenge everyone's going to face. This is how you handle it. What would that be in your mind?
One of the biggest challenges for folks coming into business ownership for the first time is marketing.
Yeah.
How do people find out what I'm doing and how I'm doing it? And within franchising, that's the beautiful thing about franchising is you're in business by yourself. You're in business for yourself, but not by yourself, because you have all these other people, whether it be the franchisor, somebody you click with in the corporate at the corporate office, or maybe it's a couple of other franchisees who've been in this position that you're in year 1, 2, or 3, where you're in growth mode, you're in heavy growth mode. But what can you learn from them? Any assessment I've ever taken, and I'll use myself as an example, I am highly introverted. Any assessment I take, I am completely off the charts on the introversion side of things. I have zero extroversion about me at all. So I've had to learn how to go to a networking event, whether it's here in Wauseon, Ohio, or in Cincinnati at the IFA folks, and learn how to network well, how to talk with people, how to listen to ask them questions that get them talking, and listen for opportunities that I may be able to help them. Networking is also one of the biggest things I've learned is you're not going to hit the pot of gold in the first, second, third, 10th time you're doing it.
Yeah.
It's consistency. It's doing it over and over, just like on LinkedIn, which LinkedIn is fairly easy because again, you're behind a computer screen. So you're not
Yeah.
face to face with somebody. But it's all about consistency. It's about putting the same message out there. And it's just about getting better a little bit each day.
Okay. And that's what I want to, I love the idea of let's learn and adjust. In other words, let's grow, right? I would never in a million think you are an introverted person, given the way we've communicated so far and the way you communicate and the way you approach it. But I think people have this immediate connection or immediate recognition. Oh, I'm an introvert, therefore I'm not allowed to talk. No, you're an introvert because of the way you process and like to deliver communicated information. That's all introverted versus extroverted is. It's how you like to process and deliver information. Okay. Once you understand that part of it, oh, I could be as introverted as I need to, just as long as I get my message out. So in order for me to get my message out, I need to learn and grow into somebody that knows how to deliver messages and then get away because I'm not comfortable in that environment. Okay. But the secret is, and this is why I'm so glad you brought up Okay, the first challenge was marketing. We all know that one. The second one is how do you grow as an individual while you're in the mode of being a business owner? To me, that's the biggest challenge that everybody has because when you come out of corporate, you no longer have that safety net. So now everything you do from that moment forward is learning to adjust yourself, learning to grow in order to be the person you've always needed to be to make your business successful. Doesn't mean change your personality. It doesn't mean going from a great guy all of a sudden now you're an asshole. It means being the same person but a different set of skills. Being that same genuine, authentic person because everybody likes to buy from somebody they know, like, and trust. They want authenticity, but what they're looking for is somebody that's capable of doing things. And you have to develop and grow a skill set in order to be that person. And I think that's the biggest thing that everybody needs to pay attention to, regardless of what business model you have, regardless of what franchise you're in. It's growing that makes the big difference. And consistency is the key to it all. I just think step
Absolutely.
by step, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and for any leader, self-awareness is the number one
Mhm.
attribute that they can possess and grow. There was a study done out at Stanford Business School. 96% of their respondents said that self-awareness is the key factor for any leader. And
Mhm.
yet studies of employees say that 10% of them say their bosses are self-aware of what's going on around them.
Yeah.
So self-awareness, and it's about surrounding yourself with people that you know, like, and trust, and treating them as colleagues. Learning, when I have a conversation with anybody, I can learn as much or more from them as
Yep.
as I'm helping them. And that's with any coaching conversation I have, conversation with you, Scott. I'm learning just as much about this as we are talking about other things
Yeah.
for your audience.
One of the things that strikes me is, self-awareness. You're making a really good comment. I want to make sure that people get that. If a business owner doesn't have this self-awareness, that means they lack a vision and a mission for their business and the ability to create a culture that is surrounding them in a way that the business can move forward in their model or in their image, right? So if you're not self-aware, that means you're not paying attention to the things around you. To a certain degree, that is true. But if you're not self-aware, you're not self-aware because you have not established what does this business stand for? What are its values? What are we going to be doing to help the greater good and the community? Once you establish that, you will surround yourself with people that want to be a part of that. And when they're a part of it, they support you and they push you in the right direction because as a leader, you take people in a direction they didn't think possible because you motivated them to do it. And when you are a leader with a good vision and a mission that people want to follow, man, you can get a lot of people behind you. And now it's not a matter of do I or do I not have self awareness. It's a matter of those people will hold me in check because they know what I stand for. And they'll say, Luke, you're not supposed to, that's so outside our scope of a business. Why are we doing this? Okay, that is when you know you have a really good business on your hands because people are checking you. And if you only
Mhm.
surround yourself with yes people, you will have a no business in no matter time. That's just my opinion.
Absolutely. Well, to simplify it just even a little bit more, self-awareness has two key components.
Okay.
Everybody in the world makes about 30,000 decisions in a day. Some of them are very few are life altering. Most of them are just regular, and we make a decision without any conscience. But self-aware person understands their experiences, their upbringing, their bias in whatever it is, and everybody is
Mhm.
biased to some extent. That's a self-preservation tool. But they understand how those affect the decisions they make. They
Yeah.
understand the fear that they may have that doesn't come out and say, "Hey, I'm fear, flashing red light. Here's fear." But because of fear, I decide to go this way instead of that way. So number one is how their own internals affect their decision making. Number two is how am I affecting the people around me? What
Hmm.
am I doing that it either inspires or completely turns off people that are working for me or that I want to bring in as clients? And somebody who is self-aware, we hear it all the time. They have the it factor, or they can walk into a room and light up the room, or this or that or the other thing, and that's great. But it's more about when you're self-aware, the people around you understand it, and they're drawn to you like a magnet,
Hmm.
the same like-minded people. So whether that's customers or employees, um, to me, that's key.
Yeah, and what I like about being self-aware and being confident in your vision, your mission, you draw people close to you that want to work with you and want to buy from you and be a part of what you're doing. And ultimately, you get people that want to be a part of what you're doing as a vendor or as a partner. So being that righteous person is great, but being self-aware and knowing how your decisions are, where your decisions are coming from and how they impact others is really a strong drawing force. It's like gravity. People just want to be around you. And that's where I think success comes from, is being confident in your own abilities and having people want to help you. You're gonna die. But look, we've been talking for over 30 minutes, and we're at the end here. So before I get into all this, is there any last word that you have for folks? We've got 3 minutes. So anything that you'd want to say that would make for a really good lesson or a really good point that somebody in business should pay attention to?
Well, the biggest thing I would say is to find somebody you're comfortable with, like and trust, that's been there before, done that before, and talk with them on a regular, consistent basis about the things you're going through. Whether you're in the first year of owning a small business or franchise, or you're in the 15th year of owning a small business or franchise, have a sounding board, have a board of direct, whatever the case may, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it, but have somebody that you can have difficult conversations with, that's also going to support you, prop you up, and bring you and help you grow on
Yeah.
an everyday basis.
The last line is what I think really impacts my mindset, is allows you to grow. Have somebody check you. Have somebody, as we like to say in the action coach world, we are the dispassionate yet very passionate partner in your world. I don't care about your business, but I care so deeply about you. I want you to make good decisions, so I'm going to help you do that. I'm going to be the one that says, you're off the rails right now. We need to get back on track. I'm the dispassionate friend that says, I don't care about that. What I care about is you becoming better and growing. And what people need to realize is it's not from a place of malice or mean that I'm coming from. It's a place of love and care because we've decided to partner together. And my job is to make you the best possible version of yourself as I can. And if you want to keep going, let's keep going. But if you want to quit, don't quit because of me, quit because you have decided you don't want to do this anymore. And I'll do my very best to convince you to keep going. Right?
Absolutely.
My
Absolutely.
friend,
Couldn't have said it better.
this is great. I'm going to have all the information available for you. Your book, all that stuff will be in the description below so people get a chance to see it and connect with you. Want to thank you, Luke, for being on the program. Great episode, tons of lessons to be learned. And we will see everybody on the next episode. Bye now.